Right, you're gonna go through. Okay. All right, so I want everyone to go ahead and take a look at these pictures. They're kind of telling of the reason why we need to conserve and recycle. Obviously, it helps our environment. As caretakers of the earth, we're responsible for preserving and protecting our earth, not just for ourselves, but also for future generations. Since the 1920s, U.S. cities have been running programs to recycle certain materials. Concern for the environment is growing, and recycling is again on the upswing. With an ever-growing population, we are increasing our demand on our Earth's resources. The need to conserve is even greater, especially if we want to conserve our way of life. So something you guys might be thinking of is, why is recycling important? Why does it matter to me? That's a very easy question to answer. First of all, recycling is the easiest way to reduce climate change and global warming. As most of you know, the materials that we discard each and every day go into landfills. The more landfills that we need, the more land that we use up. Obviously room needs to be made and trees need to be cut down. Trees take in those carbon emissions and they protect our atmosphere. Cleaner air leads to less harmful toxics in the air, such as greenhouse gas emissions, as I stated before. Recycling also saves energy. For example, the annual savings in energy equals to 66 trillion BTUs. That's enough to power 6 million homes. And if you want any more information on this subject or any more tips, you can go to www.ecoresort.org. Recycling and conserving at home. By recycling and conserving at home, we significantly lower carbon emissions. Usually home is the first place where we start to make a difference. The activities that we engage in at home contribute to the levels of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. There are many simple ways to reduce these levels, and I'll just give you two examples. First of all, if you're in a room, you exit, you leave, you can just turn off the switch. That'll save you some energy. Also, by switching to energy-efficient light bulbs, that also reduces the amount of energy that you're using each and every day, and it also lowers carbon emissions. The average American discards 4.6 pounds of garbage every day. Reducing the amount of waste you produce is as important as recycling. It saves natural resources, disposal space, and cost. For example, how many of you use those disposable paper plates and silverware?
I do.
You do. Everybody does, yeah. Well, all those materials take up valuable space that can be used for parts. So, it's important to use materials that last longer, as, just regular silverware, it doesn't take that much effort to, to bring Tupperware, and things like that. Again, it saves space in landfills. So now that we know recycling is important, how does it work? Well, first of all, materials need to be separated into categories. First of all, you have paper, which is divided by type, newspaper, print, etc. Glass is also divided, but glass is actually divided differently. It's divided by color. This is because green and brown glass can only be used to produce new glass of the same color, so I found that to be a little bit interesting. I didn't know that. Next, we have aluminum, which is compacted at the recycling center and shipped off to aluminum companies who then use them to make new cans. Finally, you have plastic. Plastic is actually a little bit more complicated. It has to be divided up into 6 different categories, and it can only be recycled at certain centers. So I also found that to be a little bit interesting. That was another little fact that I was not aware of. Plastic, once it's cleaned, is melted, and they are then sold back to companies that use them to make new plastics. Plain and simple, gentlemen, recycling protects the environment and our resources by reducing the amount of energy used. We reduce greenhouse gases and help slow global warming. We also reduce the need to extract and process new raw materials from the earth. In conclusion, I hope that each one of you has gained a new understanding when it comes to recycling and conservation. As you've heard through the speech, recycling is a way to save and conserve our resources. It is also important to understand how the process works. In closing, I would like to leave you with a quote from American poet Henry David Thoreau. He once said, "Shall I not have understanding with the earth? Am I not partly leaves and vegetable mold myself?" What he was trying to say is that the environment and human beings are one. We coexist because of each other. Failure to preserve nature would be detrimental to human life. So the next time you finish with that can of soda or that jug of water, think twice before throwing it away. Take the extra steps to get those items recycled. And if you want any more information, you can go to several of the following websites. I use these websites to get my information as well. There's DoSomething.org. It gives you helpful information on how to get involved in your community. There's also NRCrecycle.org. It provides data and statistics on recycling. And there's also sandiego.gov /environmental services. It gets you information on recycling and how to order recycle bins. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Oh my God. You're such a fag. This guy right here, Zumudio,
Yeah, we didn't use them
he likes men.